What's going on, everybody? Today I wanted to get out a quick video to you guys because you guys seem to like these when these games come out. We have Age of Empires 4 on Xbox. It was shadow dropped today from the Gamescom announcements and whatnot from Microsoft. No real warning or anything like that. It just boom, here it is on Xbox. I've been fiddling around with it a little bit. I haven't streamed it yet. I've been trying to learn the game as well as, fiddle with the controls and try to figure out what the best settings are moving forward, at least for now. I'm sure some of these things may change in the future, but for now, what I have here is, in my opinion, the best right now, at least for me, and maybe some of these things can help you as well. So let's just go through all of them real quick. There's actually not nearly as many as there are in Age of Empires 2. A little disappointed about that, not having the amount of flexibility, I guess, creativity for you guys to, mess around with your controls and attune it to your style. But overall, I feel like they've done a great job with the controls thus far. So, starting in accessibility, we have strong contact contrast mode. This is simply for, as it says, their high contrast helps you distinguish between different screen elements. I don't really need that. But if you guys are having trouble with, like, I guess your UI or, seeing the terrain behind trees, structures, things like that, because they're blurring together, looking the same, I guess you could use this and turn it on. But for me, I haven't really needed it. Subtitles, again, this is going to be an opinion thing or, preference thing. I don't need it, so right now I have it off. In-game chat text scale stuff, I don't really need that enlarged. I'm playing on a TV, so maybe if you're playing on a smaller screen, maybe you do. I don't know, but I don't need it. Your options are larger. That's all you really have, default and larger. So the text-to-speech thing, I have all this off. Reading incoming chat messages off. UI narration off. Speech-to-text, I have that off. But if you guys are like playing campaign or whatnot, and you guys want that on, feel free to do it. Or if you need those audio cues in-game, feel free to turn those on as well. But for me, I find it distracting, so I don't need it. Moving on now to more important things, we have controls. You can go into view controls and you can see everything in here, but nothing can actually be changed. It's all set in stone, so feel free to read those at your own leisure. Controller rumble, I play with it on. I mean, why not? Rumble strength 100. I mean, you can turn it down if you still want rumble, but you want it lower, you can always lower it. It hasn't really bothered me, so I have it there. Left thumbstick and right thumbstick dead zone. I like being more accurate and precise with my my units and controlling things like that. It's very important to me. I think this is defaulted at 20, but I put mine to 10. You want to go as low as you can before you get stick drift. So you guys can fiddle around with it. I'm at 10 right now. Works great. But if you guys can go lower, or if you have to go higher because you're getting stick drift, or things are moving that shouldn't be, feel free to do that and mess around with that as well. Magnetism, I haven't really had any big problems with magnetism in Age of Empires 4 like I did in Age of Empires 2. Maybe playing more, I'll notice an issue, but for right now, I'm leaving it standard. Reticle magnetism, I have that on, and the scale at 6%. However, these things can be adjusted if you feel like it's pulling too much or too little. As for reticle options, we have the loose reticle again. If you guys want that, I have it off. That means when you're moving around the screen, let's show it like this. So when you're moving around, the cursor stays in the center of your screen, and that's standard console RTS. However, if you're out there and you want to do like more of a I guess mouse and keyboard feel while still being on controller, you can do the loose reticle, which is, I think I actually discarded that. My bad. Hold on. Yep, that's my bad. You gotta get X to save. That's my bad. So now, as you can see, you actually have the reticle where you can actually move things around. And notice how my reticle, I can move it around before the screen itself actually moves, which is kind of neat. And if you guys want to try that out, it actually feels pretty good. I actually haven't used it yet because I didn't use it on Age of Empires 2 or other RTSs. I prefer these standards. But if you want to be able to have a little bit more control, I guess, this is one way to do it. As for the reticle mode, that just shows like the motion that you can use with that actual reticle, whether it be like a square or if you want like to be a circle. But for me, I prefer to have it off. Maybe I'll change my mind in the future. Now, for press and hold menus, I always do press. Hold just makes things take longer, and I'm not a big fan of that. Because you have to hold it in order to actually bring up certain menus, and I like to do things quickly. As for the next part, so control scheme alternatives, you have friendly building selected, friendly building targeted. This is so change the default behavior when a friendly building is selected and another friendly building is targeted. Select changes the current selection to the targeted building. Set rally point creates a rally point to the targeted building. So I guess this would be useful for like markets and things like that, or just that kind of stuff. I have it on select because I don't really not really going to need that for right now. I do prefer that. Friendly building select friendly unit target. I have it set rally point because I don't actually want to accidentally select the unit, so that's why I have it on that. So for selection behavior, for military quick find, you have choose whether D-pad selects all military units or only idle ones. I have it on all because that's really the only way to all unit on this game. Villager quick find behavior, I have that on idle because I don't want to be scrolling through all my villagers. When I do the quick find, I want to find just the idle villagers. So those are the settings I have that on. Villager double press, I have it on select all. I mean, I don't really do villager double press very often, if ever. So it doesn't really apply to me. But if it does to you guys, you can change this around to your preference. So marquee selection behavior, I have that on military only. When I'm selecting a bunch of units that are around villagers, say my villagers are getting attacked, and I've got some military units that I want to select specifically that are already in there defending, I don't want to accidentally click on the military units. Now, you have the option to go with smart, which is kind of, it does its own thing, if that makes sense. It kind of tries. So smart will do like all of them. Or villagers will obviously be, just villagers and militaries only. But I highly suggest you guys do military only. Yeah, but you can always do smart, but I definitely prefer and suggest you guys put that on military only so you guys can, micro your units effectively in a pinch. And that's actually it for controls, believe it or not. Moving into camera, we have pan speed. This really depends because your controller itself can actually change these values, whether it be an Elite 2, a Wolverine Ultimate, a default controller, an older Xbox controller. Like certain values can mean literally that the controller will move at different speeds. So I suggest you guys start maybe with what I have with pan speed 10%, pan inertia 0, and a zoom speed at around 50, if that's not the default. And then just adjust it to your personal preference because really that's what it comes down to. So camera mode, this is an interesting one. I could not figure out what this really did. So it says sets the default camera zoom level, saying applies when you start a new game. And I kept trying to figure out what it did because it didn't adjust the camera default zoom because you were always zoomed in at your maximum zoom out radius when the game starts. And so I couldn't figure out what this was actually doing. And then I had to, mess around with it a little bit and found out that panoramic literally just allows you to have a further zoom out. And I'll show you guys in these images here. I was noticing when I was playing, I would have loved to have zoomed out more. And apparently panoramic just allows you to simply have a further back zoom, which myself and I believe a lot of other people do prefer, having a little bit bigger view and wider view of the map. So I highly suggest, if you take anything from this video, even though it's going to be subtle, you will notice it, change your camera mode to panoramic. I'm going to put up 2 images as well for you guys to look at, and you guys can compare for yourselves to see that it actually does make a difference. Camera reset behavior, I have this on, so when pressing on, RS resets both zoom and rotation. When off, pressing RS resets only zoom. I definitely like having my screen in a specific rotation, so having that on is important to me. It's the way I have it in other RTS games, so why not? Marquee size, this is gonna be up to you guys again. I have it on the default medium. The marquee speed, I have that upped because it takes way too long for that thing to open, so I do suggest you guys up that to where you're comfortable. I have it to 80%, but if you guys don't want to go that high, or if you want to go higher where it's like instantly open, feel free to do that as well. But I do suggest upping it a little bit if you guys are wondering why it takes so long for that thing to open and start selecting units. Minimap reticle speed. This can be anything you want. The higher it is, probably the higher you can control it, the better. So if you can control this thing at 200% and you're okay with that when you're playing the game, put it at 200% because the higher that is, the faster you can maneuver around the map, set points, camera points, which I think are super important, which is I'm really happy they put into this game. It's one of the things I loved from Age of Empires 2 on Xbox is the camera waypoints. I'll put all that stuff in another video, little tips and tricks that you can do in the game, but I feel like that's pretty important. So moving into the next one, we have Idle Villager. I have this on Select and Center Camera. This is some important stuff as well, guys. So for this, you have the options Follow, which the camera will just follow the villager when you select it, whatever villager it goes to for the Idle Villager. Select and Center Camera, which is what I have, the camera will snap to that point, and then the unit that you're going to, which would be the Idle Villager, will be selected. And then the other one is just Select Only, which means you'll click on the Idle Villager thing like on your D-pad, and it'll just select that villager wherever it is. I'm not a fan of that. I want my camera to snap to wherever that Idle Villager is so I can get it to work and tell it what to do. However, you guys may already be say you're looking at a wood line and you have an Idle Villager somewhere, and you don't want to have to look back to the wood line after you select it. You can have it on Select Only instead. That way you'll click the Idle Villager, click where you want it to go, boom, it's where you want it to be. And you never even had to look at that Idle Villager or see what it was doing. But sometimes that Idle Villager may have been doing, or it stopped doing something important, and maybe it's important for you to go look at that. These ones, I have these on Select Only for Idle Military. I think that's important because I don't like snapping to my military. So if I'm all uniting or just something silly like that, and I'm all over the place with scouts, knights, army, whatever, when I select that, I don't want it to be snapping me to these new units. I want to stay on the screen where I'm at, microing my units as I bring in the new ones. So I have that on Select Only, but again, you guys may have a different preference for that. For cycle units and buildings, I have that on Select Only as well because I don't want to snap to the buildings. I just want to select them and continue to build while I'm out on the field microing, which I believe is important. So choose whether the camera focuses for the select units is on Follow or to just center the camera. I have it on Center Camera because if I am selecting a specific unit, say whether it be a monk or just something like that, I want my camera to snap to that unit specifically so that I can actually begin to micro it or whatever it may be. If you're using groups, this is probably extremely useful as well. Moving into game, dynamic training enable or disables a tutorial system in which dynamic training elements appear as needed. I mean, eventually I'm sure we'll all turn this off, but for now I have it on. Again, it's kind of up to you. Campaign story difficulty, I'm not going to play the campaign probably, but here's all your difficulty levels. Autosave, queued command priority. I have this on construction. I believe this is very important, guys. You should do it as well. Affects the behavior of villagers who are gathering resources and then give a queued command to construct a building. If set to construction, the villager immediately erects the building. Is at the gathering, the villager waits for the current resource to be depleted before moving on. So say you want to build a house really quick, you're about to be housed. You don't want that villager to keep chopping that tree or whatever. You want that house down right now. And, that's just a small example, but, it's an important one. So just make sure you have that on construction, guys. That's all you need to know. All right, so moving on, let's go to visuals. Brightness, I mean, this is going to be really depending on your preference as well as your TV. I have mine on 40%, I think it was. So just, put that on whatever you want. HUD labels went off. Labels are removed from the HUD. I have that on because I want my labels. Player colors, I have it on unique. If you're really, really into it, you can put it in team-based. If, say, you got like an 8v8 and you just want to know what the teams are, I mean, you can put that on team-based if you want. So it'll all be one color. But I like unique. I mean, makes the game look better, I think. More dynamic. Health bars, this is one thing I would tell you guys. I play with always on every RTS I play. Constructing progress bars, I want those always on. I like visual indicators of everything that's going on in the game, and I don't like them being off or dynamic or whatever. I mean, you have other options for when they're only selected, they'll pop up, but I really, really, really like having them always on. Again, I would say it's a preference thing, but I do think there is an advantage to having them always on. So for these, I turned all these on. So show game duration timer, you want that probably. Waypoint markers for single actions, I do want those as well. Pin player information, I want that. Display player scores, I'm sure everybody wants that. Idle villager icons, I don't know who wouldn't want that. Keybind help widgets, show command help widgets, show quick find widget. Just just check it all, guys. Turn it all on. Audio, this is going to be a preference thing. For me, I have voice chat off because if I'm streaming, I don't want people talking to me and saying things, Dynamic range, I have it on wide because that's like the greatest sound you can get. Compressed if you want it like, everything at the same level, or midnight mode if you want things to be quiet if you're playing on speakers or whatever. Maybe you want that on midnight so that people don't hear your game as loudly, but you can still get that dialogue. For social, this is again a preference thing. Online visibility, I have mine on. Voice chat off. Mute microphone, yes. I have taunts on because why not? Allow messages from everyone. Allow friend requests from everyone. So those are my settings. Look out for the tips and tricks video, which I'm sure I'll be putting out here in a few days or whatever. But besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys agree with my settings, or if you disagree, or if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. We do have a Discord for Age of Empires on console. It'll be in the description of the video as well. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.